One additional one in Graves since this morning. Looks like 4 additional in Hopkins, and this is one we are checking right now. I had 14. Emergency management came back with 17. I hope that the 14 is right. 3 additional in Warren County, and 1 here in Franklin County, where an individual actually coming to work at this very complex that we're broadcasting from was pushed off the road in the storm and lost his life. I've tried to reach out to his spouse who works for us here in state government, and we are so sorry for their loss. Again, we expect that this death toll will continue to grow. 109 Kentuckians now unaccounted for, but as I look at this broken down by county, it's way more people unaccounted for than this. 81 of these are in Hopkins County alone, 22 in Warren. It says 5 in Graves, and that can't be right. There are more people than that that we've got to identify and find, hopefully safe in Graves County. Again, because we have multiple of our towns in rubble, the numbers are going to move a little bit, and we're going to do the best we can to give you the most accurate information we can. Yesterday, we received that major declaration from the federal government, the fastest in our history. We are very grateful, and we've now asked for additional counties to be added, both for public assistance. These are roads and government buildings and public infrastructure. That's the public assistance program, as well as individual assistance. People who've lost their homes. The extra counties that we have asked for on public assistance include Boyle, Breckenridge, Bullitt, Casey, Christian, Edmondson, Grayson, Greene, Hardin, Hart, Hickman, Livingston, Logan, Lyon, Marion, Monroe, Ohio, Shelby, Spencer, and Todd. Those are the same counties we've asked for the individual assistance as well. That is how widespread the damage from this event is when what I think will be an F4 and F5 tornado touches down and stays on the ground for 200 straight miles. In a state with 120 counties, you have this many counties that have damage. Our forces that are assisting with recovery, now 448 guardsmen in the field. And of those, at least 95 are doing a fatality search and working in these communities to look for missing Kentuckians. And their search is one where we hope they don't find them. We hope somebody connects to them, and they're out there, and we just don't know where they are yet. Maybe they don't have self-service. 55 guardsmen are providing logistics support to the state logistics support area, and 3 National Guard chaplains are providing spiritual help to soldiers and civilians in the affected communities. The new requests that we're getting, or increased requests, are for MPs. That's needed help on the law enforcement side, and then on the engineering side as well. FEMA, just to go over a little bit of their response. Their priorities are to support life-saving and life-sustaining action. They're working with all of us, every level of government in the declared counties. So 2 FEMA incident management assistance teams have been working with us since Saturday. They are also sending disaster housing experts to work with our teams in the field where we are hit the hardest. 4 urban search and rescue teams, including canine detection search teams in towns that these are cadaver dogs that we never thought that we'd need them in. They're in Mayfield and others to assist in local response. An additional 10-person team is relocating from Frankfort to Mayfield. An incident support base was established at Fort Campbell to rapidly deploy personnel and supplies, and they include 61 generators, 74,000 meals, 135,000 liters of water, cots, blankets, infant toddler kits, pandemic shelter kits. U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, temporary power and critical public facility staff are helping as well. Mobile emergency response support personnel is in Kentucky, including 2 mobile emergency operation vehicles with emergency communication capabilities. Staging teams, housing inspectors, damage assessment, and volunteer agency liaison staff are staged and ready to deploy. That means real soon they're going to be walking around in what were neighborhoods, talking with families, recording the damage, and working on processing their claim, giving them their claim number. This is, again, the fastest we've ever seen. 8 shelters remain open in Kentucky now. Salvation Army is serving meals and providing emotional support. I want to talk just a minute about staying safe while you are cleaning up. As you begin cleaning up, take photos, make a list of your damaged property. This is going to be really important for claiming public assistance. You need to document everything you possibly can. Survivors who cannot stay in their homes, we are taking in to state parks. I will give the update on that. Do not touch power lines. These are all things that our people know. Stay safe while you're cleaning up. Couple additional points for outside donations for things like food, supplies, etc. If you're doing that for Graves County, the contact is Graves County Emergency Management. That is 270-727-5114. Volunteer sign up. Do we have the website? There you go. This is from the Graves County Emergency Management. Please, if you want to volunteer, go through here. One of the challenges, and it's a wonderful challenge for us to have, is so many people want to help. It's overwhelming many of our first responders who need to be out doing other things. This will significantly help. Please be patient. There's a lot of people who want to help. Paducah Police Department has volunteered to accept food and supplies as well to help out Graves County. Their number is 270-444-8590. Physical address, 1400 Broadway, Paducah, Kentucky, 42003. Okay, and this one is really important. Again, we are working on verifying the information from the candle factory that right now would only have 8 confirmed dead, which is Christmas miracle we hope for, but we have to make sure it's accurate. So all of the employees from the Mayfield Consumer Products Candle Factory, we need them to go and to check in at His House Ministries Church at 1250 KY 303 right there in Mayfield. We just want to see you, make sure you're okay, and verify that information. I believe the phone number we have now, which was wrong earlier, again, we're just doing the best we can on short notice, is 888-880-8620 if your transportation is unavailable. So if you are an employee of that facility, either go to His House Ministries at 1250 KY 303 there in Mayfield, or call 888-880-8620. That number is solely for these folks. Don't call trying to find out information on it. We need to know these people are alive and safe. Kentucky State Police continues doing hundreds of welfare checks along with local law enforcement and working with the chief medical officer to assist with victim identification. Update from our Cabinet of Health and Family Services. Graves County Senior Center and Western Kentucky Allied Service Building, that's the Community Action Building, have been damaged so extensively, there's no way they can prepare meals for seniors. That's how mean this weather event was. But also shows how incredible our people are. So we sounded the alarm, and within 20 minutes, over 2,300 shelf-stable meals were committed. These meals are being transported from senior centers in Breckenridge, Nelson, and Fayette counties to 300 homebound seniors in Graves County that are fortunate enough to still have a home by way of community action staff. Further work is underway to secure additional meals. You know, in the midst of this pandemic, we were able to eliminate our waiting list. Every senior who was hungry, we were getting a meal too. And then this comes through and destroys the place that you prepare them. But others have stepped up, are helping us to provide that service. Kentucky State Parks, we are offering minimum 2-week stays to those that don't have a place to call their own at the moment. I want to provide room availability as of 1 p.m. today. Kentucky Dam Village, there are still 30 rooms available for families. Ken Lake State Resort Park, 58 rooms available. And we also have hookup outlets that can be used for washers and dryers, and we will accept donations of those to help people out. And the park will accept donations to help the people that they are helping out. The First Lady in just a little bit is going to have some good news with our state parks, where we're going to try to lift up the people staying there. Lake Barkley, we are awaiting electricity to be restored. When that happens, we'll open up 56 additional rooms. But even with the lights not going, the park hosted a blood drive today. So thank you. Barron River has 30 rooms available. John James has 1 cottage available. Penny Ryle is full. That's right near Dawson. So that WPA project is where my grandparents met. Then the Rough River Dam State Resort Park, 47 rooms available. Again, families who are in need of emergency housing should contact their local emergency management office to request lodging. But hey, if you show up there and you need help, they ought to help you call your local emergency management folks from the park. Volunteers are needed at Ken Lake, Kentucky Dam Village, Rough River Dam, and Lake Barkley State Parks. And I know our folks are watching. It says walk-ins are not accepted. It's not okay. If somebody walks in, call emergency management with them and work through it. Do not turn anybody away at any of our state parks. Let's work to confirm that they need our help. Make sure that they are in a warm place and that they are fed while it's going on. And we're not going to not accept people that need help. Many of our agriculture operations reside in Western Kentucky and were impacted by the historic tornadoes that devastated the area. We're already working with many of them, dead livestock, major operations, helping to remove the carcasses and ultimately provide the support that's necessary. To do that, I've created an agriculture working group. The working group will work with my office, the executive branch, and any other entities deemed necessary. We've been in constant communication with the people in this working group the past 48 hours, and we remain dedicated to addressing the needs of so many farmers in that area. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Michael Dossett for his update, and then we're going to get uplifted by the First Lady. We're going to make sure our kids don't miss out on their Christmas.
Thank you, Governor. And again, our hearts and prayers go out to the families of the loved ones lost and those who are still missing. So just a brief update. Our power picture improved a bit. We have at this point 26,500. They're still out of power. Again, managing expectations. Some of the large transmission towers, and these are the ones that you saw during the ice storm of 2009. These are the massive metal structures that carry the transmission lines, have buckled. That will take weeks to months to put back up, but that should not impact the large numbers. So I'll go over very briefly counties with excess over 500 customers outage. Graves, Callaway, Marshall, equal about 14,000. Hopkins, 6,500. Christian, 2,000. Hickman, 1,200. Fulton, 900. Todd, 700. Carlisle, about 700. And Caldwell, about the same, 700. So we're moving forward very quickly. You've obviously seen, if you're in the impact area, you've seen many contractors that are over target assisting in the power restoration. If you don't have power, life is not good, and we're doing everything we can. We have approximately 96 or 95% of those lines assessed across the state. Again, 29 transmission lines are down, and those are the large ones. We have no decrease in numbers for telephone poles and power poles that are down. It's 8,000 and only 3 of those large co-ops across the state. So expect a delay in putting the new poles in. That is a very intense labor, and then they have to string the wires. So a little update on the water and sewer systems. Currently out of the impact area, most all of the systems are operating, and that includes 16. 2 of the systems, one in South Hopkins and one in Morton's Gap, are about to come back online. We have provided a generator for that power to power their water system, so that should be fine. James, if you could bring up the one slide, please. And this is a slide that depicts the actual number of tornadoes. So we now have 5 tornadoes identified, and you'll see the confirmed is red, unconfirmed is blue, and the dots happened outside of our state. So the longest track, I believe we're up to an estimated 227 miles. That would be one of the longest in U.S. history, if not the longest. And you can see the track of that. And if you reflect on the counties that the governor read off that were added, we included each and every county that these 5 tornadoes impacted. Now, a lot of the damage is radar indicated. So when we see radar debris fields, we know that something was hit, and it could be only a barn or an outbuilding, or it could have been a commercial building or some homes. It could be a small part of a subdivision. So we've included all of those counties. So we asked for and were and received a presidential declaration, as the governor indicated. This is not just FEMA leaning forward. This is the fastest in our history, and it normally doesn't occur in other states. So thank you to the president all the way down to Gracious Sheck, our regional administrator. They paved the way, waiting for the governor's declaration to go up there. It was signed very quickly yesterday, and now we've added on 20 additional counties. Again, I want to manage expectation. The fact that those 20 were sent up to FEMA does not mean we're going to be granted 20. I will tell you in conversations, they're going to assess groups of counties. They can't just turn on approval for 20 counties. So it's a process, and we will keep you updated on the process. But these 5 tornadoes are confirmed by radar. The ones that are unconfirmed, the Weather Service has not finished their survey. And quite frankly, as you've heard the governor state previously, and I'm in belief of this construct, this will be one of the large ones, and EF3 is bad. That's 155. But with this type of damage, we basically, and again, you've heard it said many, many times, I've been on site, and thank you to all the first responders, many of them out there doing their job when the wind was still blowing and debris was flying, rescuing people. The long and the short of it is, we don't really know by any stretch of the imagination of all the infrastructure damage yet. So that's yet to be determined. And that's just a brief update of where we're at 4 p.m. today.
Well, in news I wanted to be wrong, I was apparently right. We just confirmed that the Hopkins County 17 deaths is accurate, and that's where we're up to. So that's one miracle we did not get. 74 lost Kentuckians as of now, and that number is going to grow. So, Brittany, we could use some good news.
This weekend, like everyone across our Commonwealth, was devastated to see the destruction in so many of our Western Kentucky communities. These tornadoes would have marked one of the most awful days in our state's history, no matter when they struck. That's even more painful that this tragedy happened just a few weeks before Christmas. Especially during this time of year, we all look forward to being home for the holidays, spending time with those who mean the most to us. Now, many of our families don't have a home to go to, or even worse, they've lost someone they love who made their family whole. As a mom, wife, daughter, and friend,
As a mom, wife, daughter, and friend, Brittany can only imagine the pain and grief that Kentuckians are feeling at the moment. She knows so many of you feel the same way and wants to know how you can help make this season a little easier for those that are hurting. We are humbled by the countless individuals, organizations, first responders who sprung into action to deliver emergency supplies and shelter to their neighbors in need. We've already announced the Team Western Kentucky Tornado Relief Fund and encouraged everyone to contribute if you're able. Again, you can donate at teamwkyrelieffund.ky.gov. Good me. To start with, this fund is going to help cover funeral expenses for those we tragically lost in the storm. We are proud to announce that we have now had 44,358 donations, well over $6 million. The Relief Fund is going to help families affected by the tornadoes address some of their most urgent needs. No administrative fees, all of it is going to go to those families. Want me to keep going?
I'm going to try.
Okay.
On top of that, with Christmas just around the corner, we want to help Western Kentucky parents and guardians, despite this devastation, make the holidays special for their kids. That's why we're launching the Western Kentucky Christmas Toy Drive, so people across the state can come together to make this Christmas special for as many babies, kids, and teens as possible who need our love and support more than ever. Here's how it'll work. Starting tomorrow morning, December 14th, through Saturday, December 18th, you can drop off new, unwrapped toys, games, books, or technology in its original packaging to a number of locations across the state. You can also donate $25 Visa MasterCard gift cards labeled with the dollar amount. We are asking for $25 cards, so it will be easier to give a consistent amount to families in need. But we encourage you to buy multiple $25 cards if you are able. These gift cards also give people the opportunity to shop locally when possible and support businesses that were also hurt by the storm. There will be 13 regional Kentucky State Police posts collecting donations, as well as local police stations in Independence, Lexington, Louisville, and Paducah. Broadbent Arena in Louisville will also be collecting donations and will be the hub for anyone who wishes to mail a donation from anywhere in the state. In addition, in Covington, the Kentucky County Government Center will be accepting donations. Finally, we will be announcing a few additional locations in Lexington tomorrow. Please visit firstlady.ky.gov/toy drive for collection center addresses and hours, as well as the mailing address for Broadbent Arena. If your school, neighborhood, workplace, or another community group is already hosting its own toy drive or wants to start one, this great news. Once you've collected toys, we are happy to help you get them to one of the 20 central locations listed to our website by this Saturday so we can handle transportation to Western Kentucky. Couple of things to remember. Please do not wrap the gifts, as we need to know exactly what they are as we sort and organize them. You can donate wrapping paper, tags, bows, and more, which we will distribute to parents and guardians. We are not accepting clothing donations as part of this toy drive, but we do encourage you to seek out other organizations who are running clothing drives if you are interested in making those kinds of donations. Again, we will be collecting these gift items beginning tomorrow through Saturday the 18th. We will share information later this week about where our eligible Western Kentucky families in need can go to pick up gifts. We anticipate pickup times will begin this weekend and early next week ahead of Christmas Eve. Last, but certainly not least, I want to thank our #1 partner in this effort, who I know can't wait to visit Kentucky soon, Santa Claus. Just like when we collected 2.4 million masks during Coverings for Kids, I know our people are going to come together to make Toys for Team Western Kentucky an incredible success. As Kentuckians, we come together when times are tough. We look out for each other, and no matter the challenges we face, we will get through it together. Merry Christmas, Kentucky. Let's make it special for these kids and families who have been through so much and show them that we're going to be with them every step of the way.
All right. If dealing with all this, and thank you. If dealing with all this isn't enough, we have a pandemic. It's continuing, and it's continuing to take lives of Kentuckians. As an update, every Monday we start with Saturday, Sunday, and Monday's numbers and go through some of the rest. 2,308 new cases on Saturday, with 55 new deaths, with individuals as young as 38 years old. Sunday, 989 new cases, 37 new deaths. Again, losing Kentuckians in their 40s. 27-year-old man in Laurel County, so as young as in their 20s. Today, Monday, 1,089 new cases, which is actually less than last Monday. Now, it may potentially be that we're getting fewer tests from different regions with everything going on. We'll have to wait and see. 28 new deaths. Again, Kentuckians who are far too young on that list. Positivity rate today is down just a little bit from where it's been at 8.78%. Still way too high, but we were above 9 and have now crept down a little bit. 1,253 Kentuckians in the hospital due to COVID, 315 in our ICUs, 181 fighting for their lives on a ventilator. All right, this last week, we actually almost exactly the same as the week before. If we can show the stair stepper chart, 5 fewer cases last week than the week before at 15,082 as compared to ultimately what was 15. I'm sorry, it's about 20 cases less than the week before. Again, it always takes a week or two to see if this is a trend. We were having a definite escalation. You know, the 3 bars from the back was Thanksgiving weekend. So if that had been a regular week, we would have had an escalation every single week until 2 weeks ago. We'll see what this means. Certainly, we are grateful that this week had fewer cases than the week before. I think it's still too early to determine if that might mean that cases are stabilizing or plateauing, because as you'll see in a minute, hospitalizations, ICUs, and ventilator use all going up. Let's look at the positivity rate. Actually, for the first time, and the positivity rate, you know, it shows the continuous escalation with the Thanksgiving week not interrupted, because the positivity rate isn't just the raw number, it's the percentage of positive tests, down just a little bit last week versus the week before. If that holds, that is good news, but we are seeing the rest of the country escalate significantly. Now, not all the rest of the country had the huge surge that we most recently did. As you can see in that last surge, that is going to be one of the most deadly in our pandemic experience. Let's show the line graph for hospitalizations. Definitely on the rise again. Of course, the last major peak you see there is when our hospitals were overwhelmed, and we have not gotten back down to pre-surge from that last one, and now on the rise again. Do not have hospitals sounding the alarm yet, but everybody is watching this very, very closely. Our hospital capacity is now probably a little bit less than it was during the surge, the number of beds we can staff. However, we have had the experience in expanding ICUs. and providing higher levels of care in places that normally do not do that. We have now solidified the connections between our nursing programs and these hospitals. I do believe we will be better prepared if these numbers continue to escalate. Kentuckians in the ICU also escalating. The slight tick down happens normally at the end of every single weekend. We'll see where it goes for the rest of the week. Kentuckians on a ventilator. Also, general trend increasing. How about some good news? We got a lot more people getting vaccinated. We have wanted to see that. Our numbers always come in the highest over the weekends, but we have some of the better numbers that we've had. 14,880 Kentuckians went in and got their first shot of hope. That means they decided to get vaccinated for the first time and got their first shot. 16,813 Kentuckians got their second shot to become fully vaccinated. And look at that next number. 46,373 got their booster shot. Remember, if it's been more than 6 months since your second shot of Pfizer or Moderna, or 2 months since J&J, you need a booster. That's how we avoid another surge. Waning immunity is real. We'll show it to you in some numbers in just a second. Make sure you get that booster shot. Not only does it give you the best shot against our enemy number one, which is the Delta variant, it looks like it's needed to protect you from Omicron. We go through this by every Monday by age demographic. Number one, Mark, is total Kentuckians that have gotten at least one shot has gone up a percentage point. We celebrate every time that happens. So let's see, today is the 13th. 2 days from now will be 1 year. No, tomorrow will be 1 year from the very first vaccine given out in Kentucky. And in that span of time, 1 year, we vaccinated 62% of every man, woman, and child in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. That's incredible. It's not enough based on what we face. That's never been done in human history. I'm really proud of our folks who are out there giving those vaccines. Now up to 2,731,731 Kentuckians that have gotten vaccinated. Our total for those that are eligible, 5 and up, these are people that can actually get a vaccine, staying the same, about 65%. That's about 2/3. And then total 18 and up, these are people who make their own healthcare decisions, 73%. Folks, people in the Commonwealth overwhelmingly know that they need to get vaccinated, and people keep coming to get vaccinated. Every day, we have at least 1,000 Kentuckians who determine that it is time. Please, we're waiting for you. We want to see you. Come in, get protected. So we do the breakdown by age, 75 and up, unchanged, still at 91%. This is one we need to do better in. And 91%, you think, why would you need to do better than that? It's because they're at the most at risk. 65 to 74, these are our all-stars at 95%. 50 to 64 has gone up a percent, now at 79%. 40 to 49, this creeps up almost every week. This is my group and a group that's getting hit really hard in deaths right now from Delta, up a percent. Then we're the same all the way down to 12 to 15, up a percent to 45, and 5 to 11-year-olds, up a percent to 14. Let me talk about that for a minute. It does appear that many parents are waiting on the 5 to 11-year-olds that just opened up. It is safe. It provides protection for your child. It is a smaller dose. They even package it differently. My 11-year-old, our 11-year-old, Brittany and my 11-year-old, has gotten fully vaccinated now. I love her, both hers, more than life itself. And I would not have taken my own children to get vaccinated if I didn't not only believe, but know it is safe. Haven't done the racial demographics in a while. Top lines is it breaks down to about 81% of vaccinations, white Kentuckians, about 7% Black or African American Kentuckians. That's about 1% off the population numbers. But our other is still at about 10.1%, way above the census for any of our breakdowns. So still needing to dive in, and it's hard to have the information to the other to get an accurate figure. I actually imagine that would get us up closer to the breakdown in population of all our Kentuckians. Let's show the vaccination status of COVID-19 cases, hospitalization, and deaths. This is through December 8th. We would have done this on Thursday. Again, 82% of cases, unvaccinated or only partially vaccinated, 84.7% of hospitalizations, and 82.7% of deaths. This has all been impacted by waning immunity. All these numbers were at or close or above to 90%. If you go out and get your booster, those numbers will go back to that place. But even without factoring in boosters, when we look at the rate of COVID-19 cases and vaccinations, you are still at least 4 times more protected even right now with Delta and waning immunity if you have gotten vaccinated versus if you have not. All right, with that, we will open it up to questions. We have 3 journalists here with us and more on the line. We'll start with Tom.
All due respect, question for the First Lady on her toy drive, if I may.
Yes,
The first I get to ask her something.
there you go. Be kind.
What are the age groups that you want to emphasize this towards?
Birth through 18.
Through 18?
That's a huge range. So that's a lot of different types of presents, but every age was affected. And so we need to make sure that every child who has lost their home, lost their family members, has something to be joyful about.
Piper?
Thank you, Governor. I have this question. It's personal. Maybe you can talk about, but
Yeah.
have you been able to check in with your family members in Dawson Springs and make sure that they are?
Yeah, so the family member I'm closest with in Dawson Springs is my cousin Jenny. Took me there's a good ending to this story. It took me 8 hours to get in touch with her, just calling over and over. But I was in Dawson. There's no cell service. So I started calling at 1 a.m. because I'm sitting in the emergency operations center, hearing the report come in about how hard Dawson was hit and the likely dead. Not being able to get her. Got to see her later that day because the moment it was safe to fly, we went first to Mayfield and then to Dawson. Got to give her a hug. Now, Muhlenberg County was hit really hard. My uncle, who married my dad's sister, his whole family is from there, and that town was just obliterated. He lost 2 of his cousins, but has been able to be in touch with his brother and others. We're heading to Muhlenberg tomorrow. The lieutenant governor has already been there, but want to make sure they know that we stand with them. But just, horrific loss. A town like Dawson losing that many people in a county like Hopkins is, it's unimaginable. When the president comes in, my understanding is he can make 2 stops, and those will be Mayfield and Dawson Springs. Phil. We don't have Phil. Phil's in the hall. He therefore forfeits his right to ask questions. Melissa Patrick. Yeah. Melissa.
Hi, Governor. So what are the primary health-related impacts from these tornadoes in Western Kentucky? And right now, what are the priorities of the Department of Public Health related to health?
So the Department of Public Health, Dr. Stack and others are going to visit the local health departments to meet with them to address their needs. We are ensuring that the vaccination program is not interrupted or that others can come in and help. But as you know, our departments do everything from the HANDS program, which is an amazing program, to so many others. And we want to make sure that as many of the services that can continue, especially at the most difficult times. There have been a lot of injuries that have been treated on the physical health side. I talked to the head administrator of the Mayfield Hospital. You know, they're having to run with water out of tanker trucks, and I'm working with FEMA and have asked FEMA to help out with that. He said they saw 80 people in the first several hours. And then I believe, though I don't have the details, that we've lost at least one person that had internal physical injuries that was alive after the tornado, thought to be okay, and has now been lost. There's going to be a lot of health issues that come out of this. There is everything that is inside some of these older buildings that people were exposed to, and then there's the trauma is going to impact people who live there, their family members, the first responders, those that have been down there trying to help. It is very, very, very real. And so we're going to need to be vulnerable enough to admit that this has really impacted our mental health as people even, and then at the appropriate time to get the help and to set an example. And I know people out there want to help all of us process everything that we are feeling. Debbie Yetter from the Courier-Journal.
Hi, Governor. I wanted to check and see, you mentioned the injuries in Graves County. Are you all, is anyone attempting to try to assess the overall injuries from the tornado and hospitalizations?
Don't have that yet. That may be something that we turn to. Again, we got a fatality count that's going up every day, which means we're still finding people. When there's an opportunity and capacity, we'll try to get from the hospital what we think we have. I'm not aware right now of a number of individuals in critical condition, or whether we have individuals in critical condition. That's certainly something that we can and will reach out for. I've also talked to Connie Smith, who actually, I believe the numbers I gave you from Mayfield Hospital were from Bowling Green. My apologies. We're not a lot of sleep the last 3 days. Connie talked about the number of people coming in. That is certainly stabilized. As you see in Bowling Green, I mean, whole families just no longer with us, including some of our younger Kentuckians. Jack Bramer, Herald Leader.
Yes, Governor, a two-parter. Of the 74 deaths, how many of them have been identified? And do you have a dollar figure how much you expect FEMA to help?
So I do not have an update since we moved from the 64 to 74 in the span of today. 69 of them are identified. So 5 currently unidentified. And remember, the state police need you at the same ministry's location if you are missing somebody to come in with identification documents, as well as provide a DNA sample if you are related. Did I miss the second question? Dollar figure. Once the disaster is approved, everything that falls in it, FEMA covers at least 75%. So the overall amount, to my knowledge, isn't capped. It's going to be 75% of what we are able to provide to them. There's also the individual assistance, and that'll depend on the number of households. I don't have a number, but I imagine FEMA will be helping us to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars because that's how much damage that we have in the very, very least. John Boyle, WFPL.
Hi, Governor. I know with some of these towns, 3,000 people isn't exactly a huge population, but I also know that there are some Kentuckians that live in more rural parts of the state that may have been hit by this, maybe not densely populated neighborhoods. So I wanted to get a sense of, are we still in the process of working our way out to some of these people who may live a little bit more off the grid in the path of tornadoes?
Yes. The search starts in the most impacted area. We got an update yesterday. Where the actual line of the tornado is. They've done most of the search. That would be if your house was hit directly by the very center of this thing. And then they go out in a grid fashion. But that's just the official search and rescue groups that are there. We also have county officials that are checking on people. Most of these communities are pretty small. Mayor of Benton's a wonderful mayor, just like the mayor of Mayfield and in Dawson Springs. But I was riding around with her looking at damage, and John, she'd say, well, I texted this person, they're still stuck in their home, but they're okay, but they can't get down the hill. And so we've got a lot of people out there checking on a lot of people, but yes, we are still working our way out. And I'd only say it's more rural areas if the line of the tornado wasn't in that part of the rural area. Karen Czar, WUKY.
Governor, you and the First Lady have spoken openly about your faith at numerous press conferences since taking office. In the last few days, how has that faith guided you personally? And as a deacon, what were the messages that you brought to Kentuckians that you visited who've been devastated by this storm? Thank you.
Well, I think that our faith teaches us that at times of great difficulty, you're supposed to love. I've been telling people that I see that I've never met that I love them. And that's who we are as people. And I think people need that right now. To try to listen, give people a hug. And then to let them know that we're going to be there with them, each and every step of the way. My faith teaches me that our body is just a vessel and that our soul is eternal. And I hope that provides some comfort to those that have lost even their children. As parents, we cannot imagine. It was hard enough calling Brittany and asking her to move the kids to the basement when we got hit. And when I made that call, I already knew that we had dozens of likely people dead throughout Kentucky. I think empathy is what makes us good people. And let's make sure we continue to show it to one another. People are going to be hurting a long time. And it's an amazing thing to watch a church service being held in the shell of a church and listening to a minister, on TV saying, the church isn't the bricks. It's you and me, wherever two are gathered. And then watching just faith organizations of all types and of all religions that we have already seen do so much. Everything from our denomination, Disciples of Christ, to in multiple situations, seeing the Church of Latter-day Saints and what they're doing. A group of Muslim doctors dropping off huge sets of supplies. It's pretty special, and we could not do this work without a lot of faith-based organizations. All right, Nadia Ramlagan from Kentucky News Connection.
Hi, Governor. I was wondering, I understand that we're still in the early stages of the search and rescue process. That being said, do you have any idea what might be the plan going forward for rebuilding? Is there going to be some kind of state agency or committee or coalition similar to the agricultural working group you mentioned that's going to make sure that the process is closely managed?
Well, there's a couple of really important things that are the next step in the process. Number one is all homeowners filing an insurance claim if they have it. We are working on trying to get all our insurers to these locations on a day where we can direct these folks to make sure that they can be helped all at one time. It's really important to get that done and to get it done as quickly as possible. People are going to need documentation. They're going to need to make lists of what is lost, and that is horribly traumatic to have to do, but it is necessary to try to get them those dollars that they are owed under those policies. Second, FEMA. We need to get people to file their claim with FEMA for individual assistance. Those are the people that are going to be walking around in the neighborhoods. We're going to try to publish a schedule once we hear back from Gracia Sheck about when different groups are going to be in what towns. A lot of the rest of the schedule depends on debris removal. Now, and a little bit of hope, we're not just clearing roads, we're now moving stuff out. And that is a really good thing. And then we're trying to address any lag time right in between needing to make your claim, the debris removal being out, and then rebuilding. We have lots of offers of help. One of the things we're really going to want to work through is how we maximize contractors with materials that can be there helping to rebuild as quickly as possible. It's hard to look at where Dawson Springs is right now, but I'm trying to think about what it'll look like with hundreds of brand new houses. That's going to be a special day when we can see that piece. Construction will be a little more complicated with government buildings, with huge buildings entirely wiped out, churches and the rest. We're also going to have to start looking at businesses and especially small businesses that are hit. I know there's FEMA assistance, but we're likely to provide some direct assistance from the Team Western Kentucky Relief Fund about helping to get them by until they can open their doors again. We want to do everything we can to help people get back up. I mean, you talk about getting knocked down. This is it's a lot harder than just getting knocked down, but we're committed. We're seeing just amazing generosity by the people of the United States of America and other places. Let me just say, if we feel your love, we feel your support. Calls come in with such a volume that it's hard to return them, but thank you to each and every individual out there. I got a note from Virginia's governor that I haven't been able to call back that they're doing a blood drive for us. And he's given blood personally. So thank you for that. We're getting support from everywhere from Amazon to the Backstreet Boys, who are helping out with, I think, a really a huge help to the Team Western Kentucky Fund. Keep it up. Things like that. And if you can put the slide back up, are how we ensure we don't just have support in the coming weeks, but a whole lot of expenses after natural disasters are months, maybe even a year out. I've already been talking to the county judges, and we all agree that we got to make sure the way we plan to use these funds, which we are doing together, ensures that at that time that people need it, maybe that they are furnishing their house. And how far out is that if you think about the fact that their house is still in rubble, that we are still here for them. So we got a lot of groups that are doing the immediate assistance, and we thank them. We're going to make sure that we coordinate to where we can continue the assistance for the months and even the years to come. I know a lot of people out there want to help. They feel it very strongly. We gave you a place to volunteer. Know that there are thousands of volunteers. And if your help isn't needed, don't take it badly. Just know that you're one of a whole bunch of amazing Kentuckians. So whether it's this or COVID, we'll get through it. We'll get through it together. We will rebuild. We will get back up. That's what we do. Thank y'all.